I'm thinking back. We had a Toastmaster named Joe and a Toastmaster named John. John was a very experienced Toastmaster, and Joe was relatively new. I mean, he had done about 5, 6 speeches. And this time, John says to Joe, he says, Joe, you've been a Toastmaster for a while now. I'm going to give you a stronger evaluation. Oh my goodness. He just laid into Joe. Poor Joe. I felt so bad for him. But that isn't what Toastmasters is about. Toastmasters, let me read a portion of our club mission, which is to foster self-confidence and personal growth. And if someone is just critiquing you over and over, word of the day, huh? Okay. You try to use the word of the day when you're speaking up here. But if someone is doing that, then it doesn't help you grow. In fact, I came across this quote here. It says, it's from Somerset Maugham. He says, people ask for criticism, but they only want praise. And even, I guess I'm an experienced Toastmaster, but I want to hear that I did a good job. I really do. So give me some flowers later. But what I want to go over today is some of the tips and tricks for being an evaluator, how to evaluate someone. And in fact, this isn't really a eye contact or vocal variety. This is more of the etiquette of being an evaluator. Let me get started in showing that to you. And let's see. The first thing I want to bring to your attention, let me see any hands if you know of the sandwich method. See, sandwich method? Okay. So I'm going to explain the sandwich method. And the sandwich method is where you give praise and critique, I guess you could say, at the same time. But what you do is it's kind of like a sandwich where you have a slice of bread, and that's something positive that the speaker had said. And then you add some condiments to it, like lettuce or tomato or mustard pickle. But those are other things that they said well. And then you give them what they could do better. The meat of the sandwich, I suppose. And then you come back with, for me, more condiments. And so you add other things that they're saying well. That's a great way to do a sandwich. And a great way to do an evaluation, because you're sandwiching, if you will, that meat in with positive attributes of that speaker. And that's really important to encourage them and give them positive motivation. But did you know there's another method of doing evaluations? And that's saw, heard, and felt. Let me see hands if you know this methodology. Okay, good. Donald. In fact, I didn't bring it with me today. I found a very old form from Toastmasters International where they use that setup, that very setup. But in this case, you would say things like, I saw your expression. I saw you moving around. I saw your eye contact. Those are things you saw. And then you could say what you heard. I heard great pauses. I heard, it sounded to me like you were going too fast, perhaps you could say as a critique. And then you could do what you felt, or how that speaker made you feel, or how you reacted to that speaker. You could say, I really felt your sadness when you talked about going to your mother's funeral. So you can, 3 different things that you could look for and feel, or in all 3 of those. Now, there's one other thing before we get started into those are the 2 main ones. Now, what we're going to do, the third part of this, is we're going to do table topics as we normally do. But what we want to do is have an evaluator evaluate that short little table topic. I hope that makes sense. But try to use the sandwich method, or try to use what you heard them say, how they made you feel, or what you saw them do. But it's just a 30-second little clip. So you don't have to do a 2 to 3 minute evaluation on a 1 minute table topic.
Yeah.
There are some Toastmasters around that could do that. I'm not one of them. And I don't think anyone here is one of them. Yeah. And if you want to try a table topic, we won't have you doing an evaluation necessarily, but you can try your hand at answering some of the table topic questions. Now, you don't know a table topic question necessarily. Table topic question is an impromptu question. So it could be at work and they say, well, tell me if I can't think of a work question. My boss would throw things at me. He says the unemployment rate's at 3%. How are you getting new employees? And then I would have to come up with an answer right off the top of my head because I didn't see it coming. But that's how we do it here, because practicing here makes us better at work or in life in general. Because we get used to answering questions on the fly, on the go, impromptu, a table topic. So we're going to start. Luciano's going to come up and pose a table topic. Can I choose a couple for you to get you started?
Okay, I prepared some questions.
Come on up,
Yeah.
Luciano. You're going to help me with this.
Yeah.
Because you're going to take the microphone. For instance, come on up. Let's start with Sandy and Josh. Good examples here. So we'll have one do a table topic question, and let's say, Josh, you can evaluate her 30 seconds to a minute after she's done. So Sandy, come on up, and Luciano's going to ask you a table topic question.
Okay, Sandy, good morning. Have you had a bad evaluation? And how do you feel?
Have I had a bad evaluation? Yes, I have. My very first one. Because I was scared to death and I was unable to get the words out because I just wanted to crawl under the table. And I felt horrible, but then I got through it. It helped when the evaluation came out and it was positive in the beginning, and then they told me what I needed to do and I was able to fix it. So that made me feel more comfortable after that first one because I knew I had to go back and change it. I think that I have been through the saw, heard, felt evaluation, and that one is really good for a person who's already been through a couple evaluations because that really refines your body language and your sound. So first you need to go through the sandwich method and then the saw, heard, felt message to refine it. Thank you.
Now, John, come up here with me. So Josh is now going to come up here and do an evaluation of Sandy.
Don't make it the second bad one.
We're down here.
Oh, okay.
You can move.
You can stand outside the window.
I think that
Yes, okay.
it looks good. Fellow Toastmasters and guests. So what I witnessed in Sandy's speeches that she got up here, one, a good example, what I saw her do was she took the question and she gave an immediate answer quickly. And it was a story that she did herself. So she's telling us a story which I felt like engages everybody. A good tip for these table topics is start off with a story, and I thought that was a brief little way to do it.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you.
Josh, don't go anywhere. Luciano's gonna ask you a question. Sandy's gonna
Now,
evaluate you.
you and Sandy will evaluate you, okay? Right. Josh, how evaluation helps you in your development?
How does evaluation help me in my development? Great question, very relative, and for our guests here who seem to have what they spoke about earlier is the typical thing we all come to Toastmasters in search of, right? We're afraid to speak in large groups or in front of people. and we're trying to get it to be a better communicator. That's really why we all ended up here. So how evaluation helps is because there's people that have gone through the path before us, have improved their skills and are at different levels. We may be starting here, but these are all skills. The great thing is these are all skills we can learn. So when you get the feedback, hey Josh, you might have wanted to tweak this, and it's a lot of it's perception, right? There's all these people out in the audience that are going to perceive things differently, but there'll probably be an overall thing like, oh, Josh, you do the swing. Well, that's pretty hard to deny. Like, oh, that's something I can work on. I can change how I'm standing. I can change my eye contact with the audience. And there's little things that are just considered great communication, right? A great one here is on the hybrid. I have to not forget about not forget about you all here in the Zoom world. And it's a perfect example of somebody feedback. Josh, you were looking at the wrong camera. But those are the sort of things that why feedback is important, so you can improve, and we all want to improve, right? So, thank you for that question, Daniel.
Okay. No, Sandy will now evaluate him.
Josh, you did a good job. You really did. The one thing I noticed though was the thoughts you would get in your head and then you would switch.
Mhm.
But that happens in table topics because it's impromptu. That's just something we need to get through. And I thought you drove it home well with your examples. You had good body language and good hand gestures, and that really helps people. And you also pointed out indirectly that we have all this stuff here. We don't know what to look at. So, it's a lot, but you did a really good job and you got your point across. So that's good.
All right, that's the saw, heard, felt method. I should have hit that. There we are. All right, let me bring a couple more tips to the table. Now, when you're doing an evaluation, a good technique to use is to give a first burst of energy, if you will, Donald, to show your enthusiasm, your appreciation for that speaker. So when you do that, you give an overall reaction to the speaker's talk. Like, I really liked your speech today, Josh. The way you brought your enthusiasm to the table when you did this. Now, that's just an overall look. Now we'll look at the details of things that you did well and things that perhaps you can improve. So that's a good way to start an evaluation. You give you overall look. And guess what goes along with that? When you're finishing up, you give an overall summary with one exception, if you will. Leave the critiques out. Say, I really like the way that you had your eye movement, your hand movement, your voice, and you have your critique or the things they could improve on in the middle. But in your summary, just kind of let those slide because you've already said it once. You don't want to nag them. So just give a positive, encouraging summary because they're going to remember that most. Let's see. We got one more. Yes. Always be evaluating. I go to lots of meetings and I take a book to all those meetings and I take notes just like I'm an evaluator because it's going to help me become a better evaluator by doing that. I tell you, I'm just writing down furiously what things I like and then things that perhaps they could improve on. And nobody ever asked me. Well, some do, but that's the idea. By practicing, I get to practice when I go to these meetings and do evaluations just on my own because I become a better evaluator. So those are 3 more tips that we could put to use. Time for more table topics.
Okay, who's gonna be the next? Can I choose them or do you?
Sandy had a suggestion. Who do you think should go?
Edith and Donald.
Edith, okay. Edith,
Edith.
okay, right.
I'm here.
And Donald is evaluating.
Edith, why evaluation is a vital part of Toastmasters?
why evaluation is a vital part of Toastmaster? Is that the question?
Yes, that's the question.
No Toastmaster club is fulfilling its obligation to its member unless it brings them the maximum of training in the art of constructive criticism. Those were the words of the founder of Toastmaster, Dr. Ralph Smedley. The idea that Toastmaster was specifically founded with this in mind tell us how important it is feedback for us to grow. They say feedback is the food of the champions, and I believe it. I believe feedback is the way that we can grow with free training all the time. Feedback is for free. Everybody can give you a good opinion and insight. And normally we sometimes take care about how things are being said, but at the end of the day, that's not what it counts. At the end of the day, what really counts is the intention that that person has to help you with something that can make you better. Now, given not all feedback is going to be always great, take what you need, use what you can, and always respond with thank you. Never debate your evaluation, never clarify. Remember, they're giving you an opinion, they're giving you an insight, they're giving you a gift. Take what you can use, appreciate it, be grateful, and then apply everything you can for your better. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics.
Okay, thank you. Now,
Donald will do the evaluation.
yes. Yes, good morning, Donald, Mr. Donald Dodson. Would like to hear from you, your evaluation about what said Edith.
Thank you, Toastmaster Luciano. It's good to see you stepping up and taking a role in table topics at such an early journey in your Toastmasters experience. Distinguished Toastmaster Edith Tinkin. And just to let you know, whenever you give an evaluation, you're speaking not only to the person who's who you're giving the evaluation to, but it's actually a mini speech. So fellow Toastmasters, distinguished Toastmasters, and especially you, Edith Tinkin, and our important guests. You know, the question was why evaluation is a vital part of Toastmasters. Why evaluation is a vital part of Toastmasters. You know, I love how distinguished Toastmaster Edith Tinkin, she started with an explanation. It says that it's a great opening. Wow, my time is already over. I was just getting started. But it's a great feedback, explaining the purpose of feedback. And I think feedback is one of the vital things in evaluations, but we will get more into that later. But right now, for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead, turn the meeting back over to our table topic master. Man, that was quick. Here.
It sure is. Or you're one of those guys could go on for 5 minutes on a 1 minute.
I think what I was getting at is that I was thinking that I had 2 to 3 minutes to give a effective evaluation, but apparently I guess we're doing it unconventional. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Back to you.
Well, I wanted to talk about being honest. When you do an evaluation, you want to be honest with the speaker, right? That makes sense. You want to be honest with them. Yet at the same time, you want to be sensitive to them and caring about them and respectful of their self-esteem. Those are all vital things that we have to strive for. So it's a balancing act is what I'm getting at. I'm having a hard time finding the camera. We do have 3 cameras here. But here's a good rule of thumb. Do you know the rule of thumb? I'm looking at it. Who knows the rule of thumb? The rule of thumb is for everything that you say that they could do better, give them 3 things you thought they did well. If you balance it that way, then you'll do a better job in doing your evaluation and maintaining their self-esteem. Those are, it's a balancing act, as I said. On this one, how you say it really matters. In fact, this is one time you can talk about yourself, because what you want to stress is that your opinion. You wouldn't say things like, we couldn't hear you, or we didn't think you moved around enough. No, when you're an evaluator, you give your opinion, and your opinion should be, I saw you moving around very nicely. I heard your pacing. I thought it was great. I struggled to see your hands at times, things like that. You can give your opinion. And no judgment phrases like, we don't do that, or things along that nature. You don't make up these laws necessarily. But what you're doing is you're giving your opinion. Now, here's one last technique. I think it's right here. Yes, it is. The but and. And I know you've done that before, Sandy, with the but and technique. Think about this for a second. John, you gave a great speech, but your camera was off. See how that feels? Or I could say, John, you gave a great speech, and it would have been better had your camera been on. Which feels better? The and, doesn't it? So use the and technique whenever you can, when you're trying to encourage them to do better. All right, are we ready for another table topic question? And the camera's moving around, now it's up here.
Oh, now it's there, right. Okay. The next one is gonna be June. Good morning, June.
And Pilar.
Yes, June and
Good
Pilar.
morning.
Yes.
Pick an evaluator for her.
No, it's Pilar, right? No.
Oh,
Yes.
Yes, yes, Pilar. Uh-huh.
Okay. Who is?
Oh, okay.
Who's the evaluator?
So you're gonna evaluate June, okay? No? Yes, yes, you're gonna evaluate June, yes. June, in your opinion, what's easier, evaluate or receiving evaluation, and why?
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. And also good morning to you, Mr. Table Topic Master. What is better, to be evaluated or to receive evaluations?
Right.
Well, I like both ways because I love to get constructive criticism. I want to improve at everything I do. So I love doing both. And I love receiving both. So, but what happens in an evaluation? As Mr. Donald Towson had just pointed out, it is a mini speech. And for the benefit of the guests, as a mini speech, we have a beginning, a body, and an end. And in an evaluation, it is also necessary for us to give feedback in a way that is very positive, and also to find ways for development. I love the word development because it makes you feel that you can enhance what you're learning instead of the word improving, because it makes a person feel that sometimes that they are not doing anything, they need to improve more. So I like developmental needs. So the important thing about evaluation when I receive them is that I do write down what is said. I even do it when someone is evaluating someone else, because what you may see or what you may overlook, someone else may bring it up in their evaluation. And someone may have more experience than you have, or someone may be new at table topics, and they may point out something that you may not even think about. So I love evaluations. I love giving them. I love receiving them. Back to you, Mr. Evaluator.
Thank you, thank you. Now, Pilar, this
30
is your point,
seconds.
yes.
30 seconds. Don't count yet. Watch the camera. Everything is on time here. June, you were right to the point. You just defined what you love more, to give or receive feedback, and you defined that perfectly, clearly. And you explained to us how important is the evaluation that make you think about how you can improve, pointing that is the basic and more important part, along with the recognition of what you did well. Thank you, June. You did just to the point the answer to your table topic.
Right. They got it down to science.
You
All right, couple more tips here.
She has to go, right?
Oh, that's true. You're gonna ask Pilar a question and June will give us an evaluation.
It is fun. It's fun. I enjoy it. You have a question, right?
Yes, I have a question for you, Pilar. Do you think it's a good thing, a self-evaluation after you receive an evaluation?
It's a good thing to have a self-evaluation after receiving an evaluation. I think that is really important. If the evaluation that you receive is a good evaluation and point how you can improve, then I will focus on that and really think and go through that, how next time I can do a little better so that I can enhance my speaking skill. So yes, it is important to do a self-evaluation after receiving an evaluation. Thank you.
All right, June, the word is yours.
Yes, Pilar, I love your answer. I agree with you. Yes, it's important to do a self-evaluation after you get an evaluation. So you can see where you start and incorporate what you learn during your evaluation process. I saw that you were very well informed in what you were saying, and you did hand gestures to emphasize what you were saying, emphasize your beliefs that yes, self-evaluations are important. So excellent job, and I look forward to hearing many more evaluations from you. Thank you, Pilar.
All right. I'm changing cameras, see? Isn't that crazy? Did you know that Toastmasters wants us to discuss our evaluation of the speaker before the speaker ever speaks? And even after the speaker speaks, we're supposed to have a conversation. And by doing so, we learn about things about the speaker and how we might be able to do a better job. For instance, we'll learn about their pathways. For our guest, pathways is kind of like the directive, the way the Toastmasters teaches us to become better speakers. But we'll learn about our speaker of the day, whoever's speaking, by having that conversation. We'll learn about what they're doing on their pathway. And additionally, I remember a while back, we had a young lady who she wanted to improve her eye contact when she spoke to people. And that's what she wanted me to watch for as her evaluator, to make that eye contact. So I was able to take that into account when I did my evaluation for her. But had I not had that early conversation with her, I wouldn't have known. So those are two different things that we could do in there. Uh-oh, what time is it? Table topics time. Did everyone get a shot yet?
I didn't get a shot.
Who said that?
This is Manny.
Mhm.
Manava. Would you, come on up, Luciano. I have this magical little thing here. Instead of doing a table evaluation, we'll just do table topics because we want to offer our guests here in the room. So,
Oh, this is a question for him?
yeah.
Okay, we have one more. What's his name? Marty? Okay, Marty, right.
We won't have time for everybody.
Good morning. Marty, what is the one thing you would most like to change about the world?
Thank you. This is the first time I'm joining with the group. I'm so happy and excited because I have been thinking for a long time to have to be a part of a mind which aligns with my expectation. So one thing which I change in the world is humanity is one thing which all the humans should think about, respecting others' value and respecting others' feeling. So when we have that type of intention in our mind, automatically the peace is restrained and we'll have a smooth a day where everyone will be productive and happy. So the perceptions and respecting others' feeling, that is one change I want to bring in humans' mind. And second thing is making sure that we are living on this earth and making it better for the future souls. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Let us finish up with a couple more. You want to try it? Come on up.
You want me to talk?
No, we have another new guest. Again, your name is?
Denise.
Denise. We asked my wife over here, Martha, this question just a couple weeks ago. If you had to move 3,000 miles away, what's one thing you would miss most from here?
Well, actually, I just moved from New York. I've only been here for 2 months. So if I moved, I would say the people that I'm meeting, that I'm getting to know. You know, everyone brings always something positive. I don't look at the negative, but what positivism they have to bring to my life, what things I can learn. And for the most part, that's what I would miss. You know, what positive things I've learned from you or you or you. That's what I would miss.
Like to try it? Come on.
Yes.
Now, I'm a computer buff, so I'm always trying out new programs. But that isn't your question. Your question is, when was the last time you tried something new? When was the last time you tried something?
I'd say a while ago, I tried playing lacrosse. I never saw myself playing that sport. I was always like a basketball player, I guess, or a softball player. But there was a time where I just tried lacrosse and I was like, okay, this is fun. So ever since then, I've just been trying new things and it's pretty fun learning like what you don't know can actually be pretty good for you.
All right. And you came to Toastmasters today. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up, but I'm going the wrong way. But here are all the things that I was trying to bring to our attention today, because I need it as much as anyone. Well, I am going to turn it over to our Toastmaster of the day. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Luciano. Thank you. Thank you for working with me to do this table topic evaluation kind of program.
It was good.
Thank you. And back to you, Donald.
It's evaluation time. You just finished a speech. Imagine that first time when you do your icebreaker and the evaluation or the evaluator rather is ready to deliver your speech. How do you feel about that? Now, I know for one, that one of my mentees in the audience, Luciano, who graciously did Table Topics Master today already, and on his second presentation, he had that experience in our last meeting. Some of us had that experience in Toastmaster already. Do you remember how you felt that very first time that you delivered that icebreaker for the audience and the guest, rather? Icebreaker is the very first speech you do. So those guests that are looking to improve leadership and speaking skills, and you think you're shy, imagine that very first speech you're going to do, and then an evaluator comes behind you, and then it's going to tell you what you did right, what you did, you can improve, and all of that. It's nerve-wracking. So it's the role of the evaluator to make sure that, number one, that person's dignity is untouched, that you elevate the individual in a way that you enhance what that person did well. And we focus on that. The very first thing that icebreaker does very well is that they did it, right? So that's the first thing we need to keep in mind when we're doing evaluation. You did it. You crossed that line at that moment in which you thought your nerves was going to take over. So don't forget when you're evaluating to make sure that you are enhancing that person's dignity, that person's courage, that person's bravery to work on something that is already difficult for them. You see, evaluation is not about you demonstrating how good I am about evaluating a speech. It's never about you. It's always about helping the other person succeed. That's rule number one for any evaluator. It's about them, not you. It's not about how much you know. It's about how much I can help the other person. Does that make sense to everyone? Raise your hand if it's making sense.
Yeah.
And just tell me, it's making sense, Edith. Say it. It's making
amazing.
sense.
It is making sense, Edith.
Thank you.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah. Number two, speeches normally have two parts to it: content and delivery. Content and delivery. Make sure that you are covering both areas. Some evaluators focus too much on the content or the structure, the 3 points, that if you tie the top with the bottom and all those things, great. Well, about my delivery, because I can have a beautiful content. I can be very, very tight, top, middle, down. I say what I say, I said it, and then I reminded you what I said. Fantastic. They tell you all those things. You hear those things on evaluations all the time, but then they forget the delivery. Well, a great content with a bad delivery or a regular delivery or not so excellent delivery is a speech that suffers. We don't want speeches to suffer. We don't want speakers to suffer. We want to make this a fun activity. So make sure you also help. Number three, make sure that you exemplify. Don't tell me, show me. Don't tell me, show me. If you said that you could have improved your hand gestures, well, show me your hand gesture. So when you make the point that X, Y, Z, you could use your hands to enhance your message. I'm telling you, but I'm showing you. Sometimes we tell, but or you could have done a lot of better gestures with your body language. But then the body language is telling us like, I don't want to do it like you do it, for sure, right? So we want to exemplify what we're speaking about. And my fourth point is your observation, is your opinion, and it's only one opinion of many. Make sure that that person is receiving it as your perspective. So I observed, I saw, I felt, I heard, and delivered observations instead of, and I heard this from a DTN not long ago, and I had to call him on the spot. He said, I want you to improve on this. No, 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 no. It's not about advice. It's about feedback. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.